want to share a couple things with you tonight. I skipped my usual lead-in intro. Don't see it as appropriate. And I'll do my best to try to get through this. If I were the devil, if I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness. And I'd have a third of its real estate and 4/5 of its population. But I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree, thee. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve. Do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that men created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old, I would teach them to pray after me. Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting, so that everything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction, and I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd had mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions. Just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you had to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, then from the houses of Congress, and in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbols of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who want until I had killed the incentive of ambition. And what do you bet I could get whole states to promote gambling as a way to get rich? I would caution against extremes and hard work in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus, I could undress you in public and could lure you into bed with diseases of which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing. That was Paul Harvey in 1965. A few years ago. Pretty prophetic. Got something else to share. Something a little more recent. Acceptance Day. Pushing oneself against the tide, an exhausting endeavor, so it seems. And why would you bother when easier still is to go with the flow of the stream? The days of late attest to this, smoothing the way like a stone, rolling and tumbling with the ocean's mist, no choice and direction of its own. So is freedom awash with the tide. Many stones beneath its waves, more and more falling into line. No idea they're headed to the grave. So calming is the rhythmic song, hypnotizing to those who stare. The masses numb to its throng. Oppose it, they do not dare. And tired man's wills are simpler still, to push this way and that, dying slowly while taking the pill, heartily resigned to the fact. Blinded by the Pied Piper's tune, the last of them giving away, the only semblance of freedom forgot, acceptance, the will of the day. I ask you to excuse me. A little emotional tonight. All of these things pretty much, both of those pieces, talk about what's going on today. Like I said, one of them from 1965, the last one I read. Something I wrote in a book of poetry that's coming out soon. I'll let you know when that posts, when that is available. It's not why I made this recording. Does any of this bother you as much as it bothers me? Sorry. Just trying to gather myself tonight. I still have hope. It's just when I read things like that. It just it outlines where we are right now. And it's amazing. I mean, don't really remember what year Paul Harvey passed away, but he's been gone for quite some time. In 1965, maybe, I don't know, it might as well be 100 years ago now, because that's what it feels like when you look around you. And I'm just wondering, how many of you still care? Will you stand up? Will you stand up? God, freedom, and family. If we lose the first two, our families are doomed. God bless you.